Welcome to On Spot, where we keep you up to date with the latest in news, starting with the headlines. Pope Tawadros has enthroned new bishops. Patriarch of Ethiopia postpones visit to Cairo. Hassan Rouhani wins Iran presidential election. Police clear Istanbul's Gezi Park after Erdogan warning. Starting with the Coptic Orthodox Church in Cairo, His Holiness Pope Tawadros II has enthroned 3 bishops: His Grace Bishop Athanasius as a bishop of the Coptic Church Diocese in France, His Grace Bishop Damian as a bishop of the Monastery of the Virgin Mary and Saint Mercurius in Höxter, Germany, His Grace Bishop Salib as a bishop of Midghamr, Egypt, as he ordained 8 monks as bishops and 4 of them for diaspora. Huguman Father Michael St. Anthony as Bishop Michael, Bishop of the Monastery of St. Anthony in Germany and surrounding churches, Huguman Arsenius Elbaramusi as Bishop Arseny of the Diocese of the Netherlands, Huguman Paula St. Pichoy as Bishop Pavlos of Greece and Cyprus, Huguman Luca Elbaramusi as General Bishop Luca of the Service of South of France in Geneva, Huguman Father Eulogius El-Anba Shenouda St. Shenouda, the Archimandrite's Monastery, Father Matthäus El-Baramusi as Bishop Makari, General Bishop, and finally Father Abanub El-Antoni, General Bishop.
زي ما بتسقفوا لهم كده تصلوا لهم. خلاص متفقين؟ صلوات كل يوم. يلا.
Patriarch of Ethiopia postpones visit to Cairo. Sources from the Orthodox Church and the Ethiopian Embassy in Cairo had confirmed that the Patriarch of Ethiopia, Bishop Matthias, has postponed his visit to Cairo, which was scheduled for June 17, in which he would meet Pope Tawadros on June 19 and attend a sermon on Wednesday with him, and that this delay was the idea of the church in Addis Ababa. The sources attributed the sudden delay, despite setting a date for the visit months ago, to the tensions witnessed between Egypt and Ethiopia lately as a result of the Renaissance Dam that Ethiopia aims to construct on the Nile. His Holiness Pope Tawadros II met with the Swedish and Danish ambassadors in a friendly meeting on Wednesday without discussing political matters. His Holiness greeted Malin Kar, Sweden's ambassador in Cairo, and Pernille Daller, Denmark's ambassador, to discuss a few issues related to civil liberties and human rights. The Pope described the visit as a friendly one. And for the political situation in Egypt, Bishop Raphael, Secretary of the Holy Synod of the Orthodox Coptic Church, issued a statement today where he confirmed that the Church doesn't guide citizens to ministrations or sit-ins, because everyone is free to do what they will, stressing that any statements attributed to the Church regarding this matter are false. U.S. considering no-fly zone after Syria crosses nerve gas red line. The United States is considering imposing a no-fly zone in Syria, its first direct military intervention of the 2-year-old civil war. Western diplomats said on Friday after the White House said Syria had crossed a red line by using nerve gas. After months of equivocating, President Barack Obama's administration said on Thursday it would now arm rebels, having obtained the proof of the Syrian government used chemical weapons against fighters trying to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad. 2 senior Western diplomats said Washington is mulling a no-fly zone close to Syria's southern border with Jordan. Hassan Rouhani wins Iran presidential election. Reformist-backed cleric Hassan Rouhani has won Iran's presidential election, securing just over 50% of the vote and so avoiding the need for a runoff. Crowds gathered in Tehran to hail Mr. Rouhani, who said he had achieved a victory of moderation over extremism. Some 72.2% of the 50 million eligible Iranian voters cast ballots to choose the successor to Mohammad Ahmadinejad. The U.S. said it was ready to engage directly with Iran over its disputed nuclear program. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei congratulated Mr. Rouhani on his victory. Ayatollah Khamenei will ratify the vote on 3 August, and the new president will then take the oath in parliament. Ethiopia's parliament has ratified a treaty intended to replace colonial-era agreements that gave Egypt and Sudan the biggest share of the Nile's water. The move comes amid growing tensions with Egypt over Ethiopia's plans for a hydroelectric dam on Blue Nile. Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi didn't want war, but would not allow Egypt's water supply to be endangered. He said that he was keeping all options open. Cairo is worried that the dam would reduce the water supply vital for its 84 million people. The latest move, the Ethiopian parliament unanimously endorsed the new Nile River Cooperative Framework Agreement, an accord already signed by 5 other Nile Basin countries: Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and Burundi. The accord is the product of long negotiations to replace the 1929 treaty written by Britain that awarded Egypt veto power over any project involving the Nile by upstream countries. During a hearing held by Foreign Affairs Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives, members of the Congress called for reducing Egypt's financial aid as a result of the rulings to present members of non-governmental organizations that support democracy. McLeod magazine quoted Republican Rep. Grant Connolly saying that it is very important for those hearing us in Cairo to understand that the Congress will not tolerate this. He also stressed that the verdicts will force many feedbacks on military and economic aids. In his testimony, Kenneth Woolwick, president of the American NDI, whose staff members were convicted in the foreign funding case by the Egyptian judiciary, said that one of the main causes of those convictions is a conflict over controlling the U.S. aids in Cairo. Those who were convicted were victims of a governmental feud between the U.S. and the military council that ruled the country at the time. Riot police have moved to clear the protest camp in Istanbul's Gezi Park using tear gas and water cannon. Police began dismantling the tents that protesters had put up in the park. The move came hours after Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned protesters to evacuate the area ahead of a rally by his AK party on Sunday. Plans to redevelop the park sparked on a wave of border anti-government unrest, and protesters had vowed to stay there until their demands were met. Most of the protesters left on their own accord to avoid getting caught, with someone regrouping in nearby streets. Istanbul Governor Hassan Malta said 29 people had been injured in the raid, but none seriously. Mr. Malta said only marginal groups had remained in the park. Twitter will have to reveal the names of France-based users posting anti-Semitic messages after a Paris court refused to consider the firm's appeal. In January, the Paris High Court told the firm to reveal the data directly to France's Union of Jewish Students and for others if requested. The groups filed a complaint following several instances of racist tweets. Twitter blocked the post in France, but appealed against the decision to hand over user IDs. The microblogging service still has not revealed any of the requested identities and is now thinking of appealing again, said the firm's spokeswoman. On Wednesday, a Paris appeals court ruled that the firm had not managed to present convincing enough evidence for withholding users' identities. And now for some health issues. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled unanimously that human genes may not be patented, but artificially copied DNA can be claimed as intellectual property. The court quashed patents held by Atlanta-based firm on 2 genes linked to breast and ovarian cancer. The opinion said DNA came from nature and was not eligible for patenting. The U.S. biotechnology industry had warned any blanket ban on such patents would jeopardize huge investment in gene research and therapies. The breast cancer risk for British Asian women has increased. A study carried out in Leicester suggests that historically women from this ethnic group have had a lower risk of the disease than while British women. The University of Sheffield team said that. But they found the breast cancer incidence had risen in recent years for South Asian women. Experts said that lifestyle factors such as obesity or more coming forward for screening could explain the change. The researchers who are presenting their work to the National Cancer Intelligence Network conference in Brighton on Friday looked at census and cancer data for 135,000 women from different ethnic backgrounds from 2000 to 2009. That's all we have for today. Stay tuned and see you next week.